Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into, well, the really intricate world of healthcare quality.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're looking at the big systems aiming for safety, the businesses involved, and how all of that connects back to you.
Especially when you might be facing something like, a hospital stay yourself.
Exactly. Quality isn't just a nice idea. There's a whole infrastructure behind it.
hmm
We've looked at sources covering accreditation bodies,
hmm
like the big international ones and national ones,
hmm
a specific consultancy that works with hospitals, and also some very practical guides about getting ready for a hospital visit.
So our mission today is really to unpack all that. We want to pull out the key takeaways and give you a kind of shortcut to understanding both the quality machinery and how you can best navigate it.
Right. Let's get started.
Okay, so first up, accreditation bodies. These are fundamental, right?
Absolutely fundamental. Think of them as setting the bar. They create standards, and then they check if healthcare providers are actually meeting them. It's usually voluntary.
Huh.
Very. Getting accredited shows a real commitment to doing things well, especially around patient safety.
And internationally, Joint Commission International JCI, that's a huge name.
It really is. Their mission statement is pretty powerful, basically enabling and confirming the highest standards in healthcare quality and safety for everyone, everywhere.
And they've been at it a while.
Oh, yeah. Over 20 years focused just on this. They operate in, I think, over 70 countries now.
Wow.
Accredited or certified more than 1,000 programs. They've got hundreds of experts helping them.
So what do they actually do for hospitals?
They provide these incredibly detailed international standards covering everything you can think of. And importantly, they have these things called international patient safety goals.
Which target?
The really problematic areas, the places where things are most likely to go wrong in patient care if you're not careful.
Makes sense. And hospitals that go through this,
Right.
what's their take? We saw some testimonials.
Yeah, those were interesting. One person called the whole JCI process the best team-building exercise their hospital ever did.
Huh. That's not what you'd expect from an audit.
Right. It suggests it actually forces different departments, different teams to really talk to each other, coordinate better, build that internal communication.
So it's not just about jumping through hoops for a certificate.
Not at all. Another perspective mentioned, yes, it gives a competitive advantage, which you'd expect,
Sure.
but also things like boosting community confidence, better risk management, and crucially, building that culture of patient safety.
That culture part feels key. And they mentioned the gold seal of approval.
Exactly. Achieving that, getting that seal, it's a visible sign patients and the community can look for. It signifies, a certain level of trust and quality. It has real value.
Okay, so that's the global view with JCI. But our sources also talked about a national body, specifically in India, NABH.
Yes, the National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers. NABH is a really significant player within India. It's part of the Quality Council of India.
And its purpose.
It was set up specifically to create and manage an accreditation program tailored for India's healthcare scene. The goal is explicitly about meeting consumer needs there and setting benchmarks for the Indian health industry itself.
So, similar idea to JCI standards accreditation, but focused nationally?
Precisely. The source mentioned it has support from industry, consumers, government, but it operates independently.
Got it. So, JCI Global, NABH for India, both driving quality through standards, just different scopes.
Exactly right. It shows this isn't just a Western idea. Setting quality standards is a global need, adapted locally.
Okay, so we have these organizations setting the standards, but who helps hospitals actually reach those standards and manage everything else involved in running a hospital day to day?
Yeah, that's where other players come in, like consultancies. Our sources highlighted one called Supreme Medic Consultancy Private Limited.
And what's their role?
They position themselves as a partner for hospital owners, really,
Yeah.
helping from the absolute beginning, like planning and designing the hospital,
All the way through.
all the way through. Recruiting doctors and nurses, setting up quality management system.
Including that NABH accreditation support we just talked about.
Yes, and NABL for labs, too.
Yeah.
Then managing the actual hospital operations, even supplying things like modular operating theaters or medical gas pipelines.
Wow, so they cover a lot, like a one-stop shop.
That's how they put it, a single-point service provider.
Yeah.
And they work with all sorts, from small nursing homes up to big multi-specialty hospitals.
Now, the sources mentioned something about their business model that sounded, well, different.
Ah, yes. This was really interesting. They don't just consult for a fee sometimes. They might back an investor's healthcare idea, help plan and execute the whole thing, and potentially take equity in the hospital or healthcare business as their payment or part of it.
Okay, hold on. So they become part owners of the hospitals they help set up or improve?
Effectively, yes. That's what taking equity means.
That changes things, doesn't it? I mean, their success is then directly tied to the hospital's success.
Absolutely. It's not just about providing advice and walking away. If they have equity, they have a vested interest in the long-term viability, the efficiency, the quality of that healthcare business.
They've got real skin in the game.
Exactly. It suggests a potentially deeper, more committed partnership focused on making the hospital truly work well, sustainably, not just ticking boxes for an accreditation.
That is a fascinating model, and it makes sense when you see the range of things they seem to cover based on their other brands like HospiMatch and the blog topics mentioned.
Right, things like healthcare financing, chronic disease management, patient care trends, mental health services, medical imaging tech.
It shows just how many different complex pieces have to fit together to deliver that quality care we started talking about.
Precisely. Getting accredited, running a high-quality hospital, it involves managing clinical stuff, operational stuff, financial bits, technology, all of it. Consultancies like this help integrate all those pieces.
Okay, so we've covered the big picture systems, the standards, the support structures. Now let's shift gears completely. Let's talk about you, the individual, preparing for a hospital stay.
Yeah, this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, where the system's efforts connect with your personal experience.
Our sources had some really practical packing lists and advice, and they made a point about why this preparation matters so much.
They really did. It's not just about having your toothbrush, though that's important. Being prepared, they stressed, actually helps lower your stress levels.
Which are probably already high.
Exactly. And it helps protect your dignity, your hygiene, your emotional well-being. It's about feeling a bit more in control during a time when you might feel quite vulnerable.
Right, reclaiming some agency. So let's walk through the key things the sources recommended packing, thinking about the reason behind each item.
Okay, first category, documents and medical records. This is absolutely critical.
Non-negotiable.
You need your photo ID. The sources mentioned Aadhaar or PAN for India, but whatever your national ID is, your health insurance details, any scheme papers like a Ayushman Bharat, if relevant.
Your admission letter or referral slip, and then your medical history. This is huge.
Crucial. Previous prescriptions, any recent test results or scans, a clear list of all the medications you currently take, including dosages.
That list of meds is so vital for avoiding errors, isn't it?
Hugely vital. Also, list any allergies you have, any previous surgeries or significant conditions, and your emergency contact details.
Oh, and the tip about copies.
Yes. Bring photocopies of everything, and maybe have digital copies on your phone or accessible via email. Originals can go astray in a busy hospital. Backups are key.
Okay, next. Personal clothing and comfort wear. The hospital provides gowns, but
wearing your own comfortable clothes can make a world of difference psychologically. Think soft nightwear, maybe front-opening ones, easier for checkups.
extra underwear, loose-fitting clothes like track pants or sweats, maybe a cardigan or shawl because hospitals can be chilly.
Definitely. Socks, too. And slippers or sandals. The sources emphasize non-slip soles. Very important for safety.
Maybe a small personal towel or handkerchiefs.
Yeah, those little touches of home. But always good advice. Ask the hospital beforehand about their policy on personal clothes. Just check.
Good point. Then, the toiletries and hygiene kit.
Right, the basics. Toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo. But also think about hand sanitizer, wet wipes.
Maybe even your own toilet paper or tissues. The sources hinted they might not always be readily available.
Could be. Lip balm is a great shout. Hospital air can be incredibly dry. Face wash or wipes, deodorant.
Masks are probably still a good idea to pack. Nail clippers for a longer stay. Again, these things help you feel, well, human.
Absolutely. Maintaining that personal hygiene routine is important for well-being.
Okay, what about staying connected and, frankly, staving off boredom? Entertainment and communication.
Essential for morale. Your mobile phone and charger, obviously. But a power bank is a really good idea.
Because finding a free plug socket near your bed isn't always easy.
Exactly. Headphones or earphones are a must if you plan to listen to music or watch videos, respects roommates and staff.
A book, maybe an e-reader, a journal, something small to keep your mind occupied.
Simple things that can make a big difference during downtime.
The sources even suggested light snacks and utensils.
Yeah, like a reusable water bottle, maybe one with a straw, which is super helpful if you're stuck in bed.
Easy snacks like biscuits, maybe some fruit or dry fruits if allowed.
Bringing your own spoon or a small cup might seem trivial, but it adds that little bit of independence.
But the big caveat here.
Always Always check with the hospital staff first about bringing in outside food, especially if you have dietary restrictions or post-surgery rules. Don't break the rules or compromise your care.
Makes total sense. And one more category, things for the caregiver or attendant if someone is staying with you.
All right, they need stuff too. A change of clothes, their own ID, toiletries, maybe a pillow or sleep mask if overnight stays are permitted. Basic meds for themselves like painkillers.
Okay, so that's what to bring. Equally important, what not to bring.
Yes, the sources were clear. Valuables, leave them at home. Large amounts of cash, expensive jewelry, important documents that aren't related to your health.
Hospitals are busy places. Things can get lost or misplaced.
Exactly. Also, avoid bulky luggage. Space is usually tight.
Strong perfumes or sprays could irritate other patients or staff.
Good point. And generally, things like personal electric heaters or fans are a no-no unless you've specifically checked and gotten permission. Fire safety rules and electrical load issues.
And again, food that might spoil or violate hospital dietary policies.
Just leave it behind.
Which leads perfectly to that crucial bonus tip from the sources.
Ask. Before you even get admitted, pick up the phone and call the hospital or the ward if you can.
Ask those specific questions. Can I wear my own pajamas? Do you provide things like adult diapers or pads, or should I bring my own supply? Can my partner stay overnight? What are the rules on outside food? Is there a small locker I can use?
Getting clarity on those points before you arrive is so empowering. It cuts down on surprises, reduces anxiety, and helps you pack smart.
You feel less like things are just happening to you and more like you're prepared for the process.
Exactly. It shifts the dynamic slightly, even in a situation where you feel vulnerable.
Okay, so let's tie this all together now. We've journeyed from the high-level accreditation bodies like JCI and NABH through the consultancies like Supremedic helping hospitals meet those standards.
Down to the very practical list of what you should pack in your bag for a hospital stay.
How do these different levels actually connect?
Yeah, what's the link between that JCI Gold Seal and remembering to pack lip balm? It's a really interesting connection, actually. All those efforts by accreditation bodies, by consultancies, they're aiming to create a system, an environment that is fundamentally safer and higher quality for patient care.
Right. The standards, the processes, the staff training.
Exactly. Now, when you arrive prepared with your correct medical history, easily accessible, with items that keep you comfortable and hygienic, understanding the hospital's basic rules, you're actually helping that system work better.
How so?
Well, think about it. Having your medication list ready prevents potential errors. Having your documents organized saves staff time. Following food guidelines avoids complications. Being comfortable might even aid your recovery. You become an active partner within that quality system.
So my personal preparation actually supports the hospital's ability to deliver that safe, quality care they're striving for.
In a very real way, yes. Your preparedness complements their systemic efforts. It's a partnership, conscious or not, between the prepared patient or caregiver and the quality-focused healthcare system.
That's a powerful way to think about it. This deep dive has really shown the layers involved, the big frameworks, the business supports, and the personal actions.
And hopefully understanding these different levels gives you, the listener, a better handle on navigating healthcare, whether you're just thinking about quality in general or actually facing a hospital visit.
Knowing there are these complex systems working towards quality can be reassuring, I think.
Definitely. And knowing you have a role to play through your own preparation gives you some concrete actions you can take for your own safety and comfort.
So let's leave you with a final thought to mull over. Considering all these efforts, the international standards, the national benchmarks, the consultancies striving for operational excellence, how does your own simple act of preparing for a hospital stay, packing that bag thoughtfully, asking those questions, how does that personal responsibility align with, and maybe even strengthen, those bigger goals of patient safety and quality care that the whole system is aiming for?